Microsoft Defender Advanced Threat Protection. We have been hearing this all over internet now. There is a lot of documentations and videos about Microsoft Defender features. I would like to use this video to actually give you a walkthrough on the actual configuration and different options that you can use to protect your business, to protect your endpoint. So let's look at how can we configure Microsoft Defender ATP. Today we'll be discussing with the new endpoint protection portal. Now we have seen that there are several portals available from Microsoft. It's evolving, it's getting better, but people who've been tracking from the beginning will be at some point will have to go on different portals to find out. Good thing is they are actually combining everything and making it a bit more streamlined for endpoint management with the new endpoint.microsoft.com. So today we will see how Defender ATP configuration is done using the new endpoint security portal. I hope I don't need to give you much details on the endpoint threat protection. Basically it has threat and vulnerability management, attack surface reduction, endpoint protection, endpoint detection and response, auto investigation. So these are some of the coolest features that we have seen in Microsoft Defender ATP. I'm a big fan of Defender ATP now, been using it for a while, but as I said before, we've been using it from Intune profiles, configuration profiles, so it was a bit difficult, and Microsoft has done a great job on optimizing and streamlining to a new portal which makes it easier for admins to configure it much better than before. Before going to the actual configuration, I'll just give you a walkthrough on the dashboard on the portal, so you can access Microsoft Defender Security Center from securitycenter.microsoft.com, where you have your basic dashboard. Once you sign up and set up your Defender ATP, the first few things I would recommend you to do is, one of the most important thing is the data retention. So from my experience, what I've seen is the amount of the number of days that you set on data retention. I kept it 30 days on my lab, but I usually keep it 180 days on my organization. What it actually does is, with the data retention, everything is stored. So this also affects, let's say, when you offboard the device or when a device is not available after some time, it needs to wait for the entire data retention period before the device gets deleted from the portal. So keep in mind that you offboarded a device, you deleted a device, it might not reflect immediately on your portal. It all depends on your data retention policy that you've kept. You can create alert notifications by setting up the severity of alert. So if there is a low, medium or high alert, you can set that and send to a set of recipients in your security admin team so that they will know on what's happening on the portal. You have some advanced features that you need to actually enable, and especially for this Intune, we will be using endpoint.microsoft.com. So the first thing what you need to do is go to endpoint security and Microsoft Defender ATP, and you make sure that your connection is established. All you have to do is select the appropriate, in my case on Windows devices, MDM compliance policy. It will create a compliance policy, and then you open ATP console from here, and there is an option for Intune setting to be enabled. Here you go, Microsoft Intune connection. So once you enable this connection, you have established a connection between Microsoft Defender ATP and Intune. And back on endpoint security, so I'm using one machine here, which is my Windows 10 machine, managed by Hybrid Azure AD Joint. Available on my machine is available on Intune portal. So I'll use this machine for all my configurations to walk you through how this works. So first of all, you need to do is onboard a device. Now when it comes to onboarding and offboarding, let me give you some more details about it. Onboarding, you can have multiple ways. If it's a local, if it's less than 10 machines, you can do a local script. You just download the script, run the script. And if it is, you can also deploy using group policy. You can do configuration manager, system center configuration manager. You can use the MDM Intune for onboarding the devices. You can do video onboarding script for non-persistent device as well. Since I'm using only one machine, I will go onboarding. You can select the operating system from here and then download the package. Before I onboard, I just want to make sure you know about this offboarding as well. On offboarding, you have a similar script, but for security reasons, the offboarding package will expire within 30 days of its creation. So you need to make sure that when you're offboarding a machine, please make sure your offboarding script is up to date and is not older than 30 days. So let's onboard a machine. I'll select Windows 10. Deployment method is local script. Download the package. I'm downloading the package. The files are copied here. Let's extract the file from here. You got the CMD file. So what we'll do is we'll go command mode run as admin. And then we'll run this command. Because it's a machine based onboarding, you need to make sure that it is running with administrative privileges. Yes. So now it's performing the onboarding operations, and we'll go back and see if the machine is onboarded after this. There is a test that you can do to make sure if the protection is working fine. So we can confirm that if the machine is onboarded and available and connected to Microsoft Defender. We'll wait for a few seconds. As you can see, it says successfully onboarded machine to Windows Defender ATP. Press any key to continue. Now let's go back and see if the device is listed under device list. Within few minutes, the device should be listed here. We should be able to see the device here. There you go. The device is listed. Now in the background, what will happen is it will start querying this device, find out the inventory. It records all the inventory, and then it will look at the security recommendations on any outdated software that you may have, any vulnerabilities that you may have, any missing KBs, Windows updates, all of this. And I am really liking this product now. It is giving me an overview on not just Windows updates, it gives me an update on all third-party software. So this is becoming a single source of vulnerability management for me. Unfortunately, at the moment, the product does not do a remediation plan. It doesn't automatically remediate. I wish there could be an option to have any vulnerability or any recommendation which I can roll out through Intune, which will make it a complete product for an endpoint management. At the moment, it only reports the vulnerability, and then you need to use relevant measures to update it. So for Windows update, we will be using Windows Update for Business. I will be talking about that on a separate video. And for third-party patches, we are using maybe a mix of Intune and some other third-party tools. So the device is there. It started picking up details. So now we have your basic agent installed and available. The next part is to configure all the features of the endpoint protection. So we'll start with the antivirus preview. Good thing, I've recently read that this preview is gonna be on general availability probably by next week. So that's a great news that everyone can start fully utilizing this endpoint security portal from now onwards to configure all your policies. Now with Intune, it was a bit tricky to create configuration profiles. There was a lot of features and options. It was a bit overwhelming for me when I started. But compared to that configuration profile, this is very easy, very targeted to a specific component of MDATP. So let's start with antivirus policies. I'll create a policy here. You select the platform, Windows 10, and then Defender antivirus. Now here is a pro tip. When I do this kind of configuration in my place, what I usually follow is you can have a pilot group. So what we have done is we have an IT pilot group where we have some of the key IT members who usually are the guinea pigs in our organization, where we actually test and see what happens with a new update, with the new feature, with the new product. So we are the IT pilot group. We test those features or any products with the IT pilot group, learn what, the mistakes, the problems, the issues, and then we have chosen a small percentage of business users who will have, you need to, these are the basics of patch management as well, whenever you do roll out patches. So the same principle applies here as well. You have a small set of business users which should cover majority of your business applications, your general work, so that you can roll this out to these people, see how it goes for a few days. If everything goes good, then you apply to general user. So I usually keep 3 profiles, one IT pilot, and then a business pilot, and then general users. For the demo sake, we'll just create, for example, I'll create an AB policy, and then you click next. You will be presented with some very simple set of informations, and you have this information to know more and learn more from each link. So it's pretty straightforward. You need to have this cloud delivered protection to be on, and the cloud delivered protection level not configured. So the recommended option is to keep it not configured. Another thing I learned, when I was doing the configuration profile is like, don't start anything with the block mode, start everything in audit mode. If, for example, attack surface reduction rule, you need to understand your environment, the application need to understand your entire network, the softwares that you use, so that it is at some point you will clean out, whitelist, the real application that you use. Sometimes you might have false positive in blocking all those things. So it's good to have it in audit mode, and once you slowly start learning about this information that might get blocked, in my case, for example, it's ASR, attack surface rules, you look at the detections and then you slowly whitelist everything. It's a wait game. You need to be patient. You cannot jump on, you might break things, you might block things, so you should be very patiently testing it out. It might take some time, but that is worth it. You will get much less problems, you will have a cleaner environment, people will not be complaining. So make sure when you roll out things like this, you go slowly, you learn the product, you learn the features, you get used to how it works, and then you start deploying to users. So we'll keep it not configured here. And then antivirus exclusions, you have a specific path that you want to exclude, you can add it here. Real-time protection, we will turn on the real-time protection, yes. On access protection also, yes. Incoming and outgoing files, yes, monitor all files. Behavior monitoring, will turn it on. Network protection, yes. So again, even though I said there are things to be on monitor mode, we will be setting this on pilot group to see how it reacts, how it works. Scan all downloaded files and attachments, yes. Scripts that are used in Microsoft browsers, yes. Network files, I usually don't want to have network file scans on my endpoints. We will have a separate Azure Security Center agent running for ATP, which will connect to Defender ATP. So I didn't want the network files to be scanned at this place. So I usually don't configure it now. Scan emails, yes. And on remediation, so number of days you want to keep quarantine file, you can keep, let's say you want to keep for 10 days. See, maybe there are some false positives. You want to make sure that quarantine file are checked. You have enough time to check all those things before it gets deleted. Submit sample content, save samples automatically. You can choose whether you want to send it or not. Automatically take on action to take on potentially unwanted apps. I will show you something. I will keep this in audit mode, and probably either on today's video or on next coming sessions, I will show you how these actions which is configured is shown on the threat and vulnerability management of Defender ATP as a recommendation. So I keep it in audit mode, and later on Defender portal will give me an instruction saying your PUA, for example, is an audit mode, you need to keep it in block mode. So this is another way of a nice way of saying how to get the best practices. I always like Microsoft Office 365 in this thing. You have secure score recommendations, you have TVM recommendations from Defender ATP. So even if you're not an expert, spending time on these portals give you an idea on how to secure your infrastructure, your setup regularly, and do a continuous improvement on your security. So that's an excellent option that Microsoft has given us. Now, action on detected threats. Low priority, we will clean. Moderate threat, you can quarantine. High threat, you can quarantine. And severe threat, you can remove, or you can even block. So it's up to each organization's requirement, that how do you want to treat your action on detected threats. You want to scan archive files, yes. Low CPU during schedules, and this is something very good when compared to other products that I've seen and used. Been working in industry for 15-16 years now. I've used several products, McAfee, Symantec, and a lot more. From what I've seen in Microsoft Defender ATP, because it's an agentless, it's already enabled, it's already there on Windows 10 as part of the service. It actually has a good performance. It actually has low impact whenever there is a problem or scans, or unlike other I'm not saying that other products are bad, but because it is Microsoft, they know the system, it's much easier, and it has a good impact on the devices, and it actually gives a better performance for the machines. If there is a missing scan, you can have a catch-up scan. You can limit the CPU per scan. So default and recommended is 50%. You can keep it less than that as well. If you want to have a high resource usage on your computer, then you can keep your CPU limit as less. Again, SCAP map drive, I wouldn't want to configure. Daily scan, I would set, let's say 12 p.m. When people are almost did all their daily initial catch-up things, they started working 12 to 1, probably the lunch break time, I would do between 12 to 1, and the scan, do a quick scan and run a scheduled scan, choose a day and the time to run. So this can be a different time from the previous one. I'll keep it at 2 o'clock. And then signature updates before scan, yes. And how often? Between 0 to 24 hours it should check for security intelligence update. You can keep it every 6 hours, for example. User experience, you can allow user to access Defender ATP, or if you have strict controls that you don't want to give your users access to your security systems, you can block it as well. So once you have all your settings done, review it, and then we'll skip the scope tags. We'll go straight to the assignments. I've created, since it's a lab, I have only one machines. Probably I'm not gonna have much machines to test it. I think I've created an MDATP device, which is this IT02 machine. Add that machine to that thing, and then you can review and create this policy. That's it. It's as I said, very simple, straightforward. It is much easier than the previous Intune profile. By the way, I want to mention this. I've used Fast Track to get advice on how to roll out endpoint security in my case is Defender ATP, and Fast Track has been amazing. It has been an excellent option. If you have, let's say, 250 users or seats or more than that, or I think it's 150 users or more, please ensure to get Fast Track service from Microsoft. It's a free service. You get that, you get a Fast Track engineer assigned to you. He will make sure that he will take you from start to finish within their scope, and then help you onboard your machines, get the right policies. I got an excellent person called Alex. A special thanks to Alex, helping me, teaching me the basics of endpoint security, how Defender ATP works. So he's been amazingly helpful. He was really helpful to give me all the details that I know now. It's all because of Alex helping us. So guys, if you have 150 plus seats, go for Fast Track. Get your Fast Track engineer before you start deploying your endpoint security. You can get their help to plan, evaluate, put the right policies. So the reason I was explaining this is I used Intune profile. I used to configure profile. So at that time we need to have an anti-malware policy, an ASR policy, but again it all mixed up in different blades. It was it is a bit complicated. Compared to that, this is very straightforward. So once a policy is created, your device will be visible here, and then it will eventually start syncing and getting all the policies. As you can see, there is no data because it's still not syncing yet. We will go ahead and then do a quick sync here. Once the sync is finished, we will see how the antivirus settings are in effect. Now the sync is completed. Let's see again if the portal, okay, the AV policy, now it shows succeeded. Let's look at the device status. It is deployed to my machine. It shows succeeded. Now, one of the best things about this, again, this configuration policy, which was kind of there on the all Intune profile but was not very clear, but now you know whether it is succeeded. If there is a conflict between a what policy, you will even know which policy is that conflict with this new portal. So I can see that every setting is being applied to the machine. The overall device status says successful, and you can validate that on the user if you open Windows Security, virus threat protection. Let's look at a few things. Okay, here, so real-time protection, cloud delivered protection, all of this is enabled, and it says the setting is managed by your administrator. So we have the antivirus policies deployed and rolled out to the computer. As you can see, it's very simple. Now things are getting better from feedback from people who have been testing out on all these policies. So we have your antivirus policies available. Let's enable EDR. Let's look at EDR, the endpoint detection response. Endpoint detection, again same thing, create a profile, select the profile. We will give EDR policy, okay, and then sample sharing for all files. Returns or sets the Microsoft Defender ATP sample sharing configuration parameters, yes. Expedite the telemetry reporting frequency, yes. That's all you do. You are sending signals to Microsoft servers. We'll add it again to the same group, MDATP, select, review and create. So you have your EDR configured. Now let's look at the attack surface reduction. Now attack surface reduction is something, as I said, you need to be really careful on how do you do that. So probably I will just configure the ASR rules on audit mode for now, and then probably on the next video we will have a specific session only for ASR. I will not create anything yet. I'll just create only for the attack surface reduction rule, because the next video I want to talk about the ASR rules, how it is being alerted and triggered. So we say ASR policy, here. So you usually have a user defined enable or audit mode. I recommend to keep on audit mode everything, all these configurations. So block credential stealing, block Adobe Reader from creating a child process, Office application from injecting, Office application from creating executable content. So with keeping this in audit mode on all the settings, you will know what's happening in your environment, see if this is a genuine thing. Because when I enabled ASR audit mode in my organization, I've seen there are some Word which are creating some genuine files, you know, macros. Could be a genuine macro created by the finance department, for example, is detected and says it could be blocked if ASR is enabled. So now I know that what to be excluded. There are ASR exclusions that you can have. We can have hit here. You can just add the path, and then that file or that folder path will be excluded from attack surface reduction rules. So we have set everything in audit mode now. Nothing much to talk about this now. Invalid. What's invalid? Sorry, I don't have anything yet, so I'm not adding anything. Again, we'll set this to the same MDATP group. and you create that policy. I think will stop here. Let it populate, let the machine learn, let the product learn the behavior of the machine, what they've used, and then we'll have a separate session on the ASR policy. How can you monitor your ASR detections, how can you add exclusions, and then eventually how can you tweak it. As I always say, the key thing about setting up any security service is patience and appropriate planning. You need to plan your security suite in such a way that it is take all your business requirement as taken care of, all your products, applications, your business usages, use cases, all of this should be taken care of. It's not something that you turn it on and then let it work. It's on security, especially in security, you should be very careful, you should plan it well and then do it right. Pilot option is one such thing to have that in place. Disk encryption, I've already mentioned a video. Probably I will do another video on disk encryption using this new policy, but if you have any doubts on how to do Intune BitLocker, I will post a link to this BitLocker encryption video on this tab. The ASR policy is successful now. It's installed, all the policies has been rolled out to my machine, it's available. The endpoint detection and response is also rolled out. The policies are available on my machine now. So we have all the policies set. We will go in detail on mostly on the software, the Defender ATP. I'm just waiting for these places also to populate so I can walk you through how the inventory works, what security recommendations, and how do we do that. So all this information will be available on the next video once I have enough information on the portal, once the device is inventoried and everything is available. We will walk through the next set of pages or options available on Defender ATP. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please subscribe to my channel. I'll try to bring more in-depth how-to videos on Defender ATP, and eventually we'll be covering few other things like Windows Update for business and configuration profiles for other things as well. Thank you for watching. Take care and stay safe.